Okay, so yeah, hi. So we'll start with this tutorial, right? And the thing is, the tutorial which you sent me is not actually existing this latest version of Lens Studio. The template don't exist, and even the assets is not working properly from the asset library. So we'll try to recreate it from scratch, right? So we'll firstly just create a new default project, which is empty project, right? And obviously we need 3D models and we need animations, right? So we'll go to this website named Mixamo. It's a pretty cool website. From here we'll select a character of one of our likings, right? So let me just quickly select a character. Let's suppose let's choose this character, right? And you can see it has loaded, right? And let's add a default animation which we want to play when the tap hasn't happened yet, right? We technically need two animations here. One is gonna be the idle animation, and one is gonna be the animation which will trigger when we tap the object, right? So once we have selected the model, we'll go to animations and we'll choose there's bunch of different animation. We'll choose one of them. So we'll search for idle, right? So and I think we'll go with something like this one. Let's suppose we'll go with this one, right? There's plenty many more animations of this. So this is gonna be the default animation which will be running when no tap or no gestures have been has occurred, right? And you can change some settings over here, right? We'll leave it to default, right? And we'll click on download. And when here's the thing now, all settings would be same, right? And we'll just click on download, right? And let it download, right? So you see it's getting downloaded, right? And let's go to Lens Studio now, right? And here's few things, right? Since it's a 3D object, we want to place it into the real world. And whenever we wanted to place something into the real world, we actually use a asset which is world object controller. So let me show you what this world object controller do. So it's important whenever we wanted to place some object into this real world. So world object controller, right? So let me just quickly search world object controller. You can see this one. So we have to import this one. It's gonna help us move the object in our real world, right? So next, and the next thing is we have to change we'll change this to back camera, right? So we see the world, right? The next thing we'll do is we'll come here and just drag and drop the world object controller to the scene, right? You see this ball, it's still not working fine. Why it's not working fine? Because in the camera we have to add component device tracking, because it's super important. Now it's getting tracked, because you can see now it's perfectly getting tracked to this real world, right? So yeah, and you can see it's saying sphere replace me. So you can replace it and add, and instead of this we'll add our model which we have just downloaded, right? So we'll click here, right, we'll click on import assets, and you see breathing idle which we just got it from the Mixamo. We'll just get it into our project, right? So you see we have got, right? You see, if you closely see, things are faded out, right? You can see things are faded out, meshes, textures, so one thing you have to do is you have to right click here and you have to click on unpack, because it's important. Because we have, if you are thinking to change the material or meshes later on, right, it's important to unpack, otherwise you won't be able to. So it's always preferred whenever you import 3D model, just unpack it before using it, right? It's gonna be super easy in future when you wanna do more manipulations to the model. Pretty cool. You can see the faders are fade out, right? We'll just drag and drop, right? You can see we have it, right? Now we want the character to move as instead of this sphere. What we'll do is we'll drag and drop it inside the world object controller, and you can see now. Let me just quickly refresh. It might lag sometimes, right? And now the character is also moving, and then you can delete this pair, right? And yeah, you can see the character is moving perfectly fine, right? Just make sure you're moving the character through the ground, because that's how we can move the character, right? So You can, and also you can see the animation of idle which we just selected from here. It's getting applied over to the model in our Lens Studio, right? Now what more functionality we need? The next functionality we need is actually to play another animation, right? So what we'll do is we'll come to Mixamo and we'll search for animations. Now this time we just need the animation, we don't need the model, right? Now let's suppose we want to make the character dance. So let's click on dance, let's remove this, and let's click on dance, and there's plenty more options available for the character to dance. You know, there's this one, I'm not sure how it's gonna look, but yeah, you see this is there. But let's take a simple one to demonstrate it properly, right? So this, I think it's looking good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on download, but this time I'm gonna click on without skin, because this time we don't need the skin, we already have the skin, we just need the animation, right? So we'll do it without skin, right? So this, we are doing it, right? So let it download, and it's getting downloaded. It got downloaded. The name is Hip Hop Dancing, right? We'll go to open the Lens Studio again, right? And what more things we want to do now, right? So we'll click on breathing idle. You see these animations over here, right? See, there's this animation already imported into it, right? This clips added animation player has been already added here, right? And it's getting played out. It is simple, right? We disable it, the character would go completely in the initial state, right? And there we go, right? So what we'll do is firstly we'll import the animation which we just got, Hip Hop Dancing 3. Let's import it, right? And you see this is the one. Again, you can see, you know, it's fading out, grayish. So we'll just right click and click on unpack, and yeah, cool. So what we need is this. Inside the animations we have this layer. This is the layer which we want to apply to the model, right? So we'll come here, we'll create another animation player, right? We'll click on animation player, we'll click on add clip, and we'll drag and drop this here, right? And we'll, let's say, make it rename it dance, because the naming is important, because we'll use it later, right? Here the name was, you know, the name was take 001 and Mixamo, right? But here the new one which we have created has to be a different name, right? And you know, the dance is getting applied. Why it's getting applied? Because the autoplay is on, so we have to turn it off. The reason we are turning it off, so the idle animation plays, because we don't want it to play automatically. We want some trigger to happen, so then only it's gonna play, right? Now we are all set, right? We have added the animations, we have added the characters, right? We have added also the another animation which will play on trigger. Now how will trigger things, right? So for triggering things, the most helpful thing we have, which is inbuilt, is we'll go to this plus icon, we'll type behavior script, we'll click on it, and you see the behavior script has been added, and you see it's default. You know, there's many more triggers you can make it happen, right? But for now we need this touch one, right? So touch event, tap, and then what touch target should be, right? If you don't choose any touch target, then the whole screen is gonna be the touch target. Now let's open the model for a second, right? Let's see what is the actual body of the character. You can, you know, disable. So you see, this is the body of the whole character, you see. So this is gonna be the touch target. It's CH46. We'll go here, right? And we'll just drag and drop CH46 here. So a character's body is now a touch target. So whenever you click on character's body, something is gonna happen. To debug it, let's click in the response type. So when that trigger happens, what should be triggered? Okay. So for now, let's print a message. Animation played. Right. Now, if I click the body, you see in the logger we are getting this prompt animation played. Right. The more you click, the more, you know, you can see the number is increasing. So you see it's working, right? The trigger is working, and whenever I click outside the body, it's not happening. Let me just quickly clear the logger. See, I'm clicking outside the body, nothing is happening, but as soon as I click here, no, the wheel logger says animation played. So now it's working fine, right? And what we want to do is we want to play the animations. For it, we have the animate mesh animation player. This is what we're going to use here, right? So this is the thing, right? So we have two animations over here, first one and the second one. The autoplay is turned off. We want to trigger on this one, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna come here, right? We're gonna choose the animation player. You see, in world object controller inside breathing we have two. This was already made, this we made from the new animation, right? This already pre-existed with the model, and this was the one which we added, right? We'll click on this one, right, and make sure to add the name which we added right here. The name was dance, right? So we'll come here again, we'll type dance, right? And also make sure the stop other layers are enabled, so it actually disables the idle animation and plays one animation at a time, right? So let's try it out. Let's tap. So you see, as soon as I tap, the animation is working, right? And it's working, and after a certain time it's gonna again come to the idle state, and again if I click, it's gonna make the character dance. So what is happening is, whenever we are touching, whenever we are tapping this character's body, it's actually playing that animation, dancing animation, which we just added, and the clip name, right? So that was the clip name, and the action. There's many more you can choose out of from. So this is for play or resume, right? And just make sure, if you want, you can loop it out, right? So it's gonna keep on looping, which we obviously don't need, because then it will go for an infinite time, right? So just make sure it's single, and just make sure that stop other layers are enabled. So what stop other layers are doing is, it's actually making sure that the first the first one, the one with the take 001 and mixamo, the idle animation, stop playing. It disables the autoplay and enables this autoplay, and after certain time it disables this and enables the idle animation. So let me just quickly bring this character here closer, and let's play it again. You see, it's playing the animation, and after certain time it's going to the idle state. And if you are wondering why the animation is this short, because everything depends upon this end value, right? So if you go here, you can trim it out. So you see, let me just quickly undo. So you see, there's total of 215 frames in here, right? And you can just the more frames you add, right, the more frames you add, the more the animation is gonna happen, right? So that's the thing, right? And then you can download, and the animation will be longer, right? So this is the thing, and there's many more options over here. You can like click to make it reversed, right? And there is like a playback speed. So if I click to make it 2 and play, it's gonna happen at 2x speed, right? So these are the properties which you can play, and we have achieved what we wanted. So we imported the character, we imported the animation, preloaded into that model, then we bought another animation, and with the help of added that animation into the model by adding component, typing animation player, dragging and dropping the new animation layer, which was hip hop dancing, inside the animations folder. Then we bought the behavior script to actually make things trigger. So whenever the tap is happening, we set it on the touch target as the model's body, because you can see inside the breathing idle there's the CH46. So you can, if the model is different, things might be different, but you have to, by clicking and enabling and disabling, you can see, okay, this is the body, right? You can see this is the body, so this is the body, so this is going to be the touch target. So I set it the touch target by dragging and dropping here, right? And then in response type, there's many more. You have to select animate mesh, and you have to select the second animation player which we added later on, right? And the name of the clip, just make sure the stop other slash are enabled and click on single, right, and play or resume, right, and yeah, you see I tap and the animation is playing, and once that animation is over it comes to the idle state. So I think this was the whole project. Let me know if you are able to understand things properly, right? Pretty easy. Mixamo makes the things done super easy, right? Again, let me tell you how to get things. You can select any of the models you want, right? So let's suppose I want this model, right? So use this model, right? So it's going to take some time to load. We have the model, right? And you can go to animations and you can select the idle animation or default animation which you want the character to have, because it's important to have an animation preloaded with the model, because otherwise the character might look like something like this, which we don't want, right? This which we don't want. So it's important that you have a preloaded animation, right? So you come here in animation, there's many more options: combat, sports, dance, fantasy, superhero. So superhero, right? You can have that animation. This is gonna be the initial. You can zoom out, right? And then you can search for and when you are exporting, just make sure the first time you're exporting with the model it have bit skin, and the second time you are exporting some different animation which will be played only triggered, right? For suppose this one, just make sure the second time you're having without skin, right? So yeah, this was all about it. Let me know if you're able to understand. Hope this helped you, right? So yeah, thank you.